Mets in Game 2, 5-0, and locking in Michael Harris for 8 more years. Atlanta a plus 125 money line underdog at home in Game 3 against Mets starter Max Scherzer. Mets minus 145, 7.5 the total. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 97.7ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And with that, we say welcome into another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone on a Wednesday morning. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed on this Wednesday morning. 256-576-4977. The phone line's open to you on a Wednesday morning. And we do, information is still coming in, finding out about this very, very late. But because it happened yesterday, late after our show. But some sad news. Long time, and I mean long time, UAH hockey coach Doug Ross has passed away. Really, the man that ushered in hockey to the UAH era, took over the program in 1985, or actually, my bad, 1982, coming from Kent State, ushered it in from the club era to the NAIA era, had it go Division II, Division I, back to Division II, back to Division I. Won those Division II national championships, but long time UAH hockey coach Doug Ross passed away. So sad news there, but like I said, more information is still coming on that, and we'll find out more. As soon as we can find out more, we'll pass that along. But
yeah, I mean, he was the father of UAH hockey, really made UAH a national name, got them in Sports Illustrated because of winning a couple of Division II national championships and really being a hockey program in the southeastern United States, which is really you never seen. Now you have some that have we've had NHL hockey in the South a little bit. You know, Atlanta had a team at one time. Nashville has a team,
by the way.
Yeah, and so we've had franchises in the South, and we know the Preds are very popular now, and really UAH was kind of the forefather of that. It wasn't NHL hockey, but it certainly proved.
Well, it was the only hockey program.
Yeah, that it would thrive here, and I think that's a big reason why we've had the Channel Cats and of course the Havoc thrive, because they decided, well, okay, collegiate hockey became nationally known, so we can put a professional hockey franchise here. And they have, and the Havoc have been here for a long time, as we know, and been a championship organization. So, but again, thoughts and prayers out to the Ross family, and we know his son Jared, maybe the most famous UAH hockey player of them all. When it goes on to the NHL and things of that nature, and they've still got a goaltender in the NHL.
Cam Talbot is up there with the Minnesota Wild.
So you've seen guys that played at UAH here in our city play at the highest level of professional hockey, and Doug Ross had everything to do with that because of the foundation that he laid, deciding to come here from Kent State and start hockey.
All right, 256-576-4977. Don't want to start the show off on a down note, but we also want to make sure.
Pay respect.
Yeah, that we pay a little respect there to the late Doug Ross. All right, moving on. Good news, I guess, on the baseball front. We haven't had a lot of time because we've been getting ready for the high school football season, been getting ready for the SEC football season, but the Atlanta Braves have taken they've taken the first two from the New York Mets. They're hot again, are the Braves. They've climbed back within 3.5 games of the first place Mets, and then yesterday they go a long way to locking up the core again. And what it was. I just got done watching, by the way, the captain, the whole the whole Derek Jeter stuff, and in that whole thing, it's the core four. You hear the core four referred to throughout the whole thing. I don't know what we're going to call the core for the Atlanta Braves because I think it's the core 8. Because
it could be a core 9 depending on what happens with Lieutenant Dan.
Right. They've locked up Michael Harris yesterday, 8-year, $72 million extension. To even think about this, to put this in perspective, 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, he was riding charter buses in the, what do they call it?
Southern
Double-A South. It's not the Southern League anymore. It's Double-A South.
Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot.
Remember?
I'm sure Joe told him to call it something else.
Yeah,
It probably offended somebody because you use Southern considering he's an idiot.
Yeah, they're making us use new words. But he was cruising around with the Mississippi Braves on their bus, and now he's an 8-year, $72 million man, 21 years old, team options for 2031 and 32. That seems so far away. But the good news is the Braves get the best of the Mets 2 in a row. They're 3.5 back. They get Michael Harris long-term. They've got a bunch of guys long-term. This core is not going anywhere, barring a complete collapse in the next 2 or 3 years. They're going to be together.
Well, the key is going to be the pitching and continuing to develop it. And Ian Anderson is trying to do the reset deal that we saw Kyle Wright do, and Kyle Wright is on a little bit of a sabbatical right now, considering this is his first, what you would say is full major league season as a starting pitcher. And so they need to continue to develop Kyle Wright, continue to develop Ian Anderson. And then the next step is, where's Soroka? Is he going to get back? If he does, that would be immense for the Braves. And they need, and they've been locking up these dudes like one at a time. Now, did I see the Michael Harris thing coming? No. But if you go back and look at it, it was even quicker than these two. But it was similar to the Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna situations, where they locked them up to long-term deals, like 7-year deals and 8-year deals and whatnot. Early in their careers, they're doing the same thing with Harris. And Harris decided, instead of paying, and playing for under team control for arbitration salaries, which you never know what you're going to get, he took the 8 years. And he's so young right now. I think he's the youngest major league player, in the show. I think he's 21.
He's 21, yeah.
So when this contract runs out, you're still technically in your prime. You're in your late 20s, and so you'll be able to get another contract. And so I think that's what he and his representation decided to do. You're making nearly $10 million a year. That's, not without even talking about endorsements or whatever else you could bring in. So that's just his salary, and it's fully guaranteed, by the way. And so I think it was probably a wise move for him, wise move for the Braves if you can come to a compromise and an agreement. And now it's okay. What are they going to do with Dansby Swanson? Is he going to be is this going to be a core 9? But the biggest thing too is, and I think he'll pitch Thursday without another setback with a concussion. But they've got to lock up Max Fried. He may be the next guy even before Dansby, because he's under team control through 2024, Scott, no matter what. Talking about Max Fried, but I know they would like to get him under a long-term deal. So it's going to be interesting to see if they try to get that done first, or if they continue to negotiate with Dansby Swanson and hope he doesn't hit free agency.
Right. So the team has signed third baseman Austin Riley to a 10-year, $212 million extension earlier this month.
That's right.
Then they have Ronald Acuna Jr., Austin Riley, and Ozzie Albies all signed through at least 2025. The keynote there, all 4 players are 25 or younger.
Yeah, and they have Matt Olson, too, signed until
the 2029 season.
Yeah, he's under an 8-year deal, I think, for $156 million. And he's slightly hot right now, by the way. And, I mean, it's really been good to watch them bash the Mutts the first 2 games, as Bill Shanks would say, our good friend. But these next 2 games are going to be difficult because you face the 2 studs, and that's Max Scherzer, who has been unreal lately, and, of course, Jacob DeGrom, who is back. And so the Fried-DeGrom potential matchup on Thursday to end the series could be epic, but tonight it's going to be Jake Odorizzi, who they got in the trade, as we know. Recently they made that deal and got him from Houston. So for Will Smith, he's thrown okay, but he's going to have to throw his best game as a Brave to give them a shot against Max Scherzer. And you never know in the major leagues. Maybe Max will finally have an off night, but certainly the Braves are back putting pressure on the Mutts.
Are we done with this Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson stuff?
Yes, we're done. It's over.
That's done now at this point?
I'll never get rid of my Freddie Freeman jerseys. I love Freeman, but, I mean, he's gone. He's not coming back, okay? He was emotional when he came back. Everybody cried, yada, yada. But
I think it's funny because everybody, it was a huge deal when he came back for the first 2 weeks, and there hasn't been a word mentioned. Matt Olson is doing his thing.
I know Matt Olson's not hitting 300, Scott. He's hitting about 250, but when you look at the rest of his numbers, they're really, really good. He leads the team in walks. He gets on base a lot. I think he's got now 25 bombs, and I think he's hit the 80 RBI threshold already to lead the team. And he's played really good defense, and he plays every day. So, and he's 4 to 5 years younger than Freddie Freeman. So let's move on. That's what you do in baseball. It's just like, I hope they re-sign Lieutenant Dan. But if they don't, you've got Roy Hobbs sitting there as a 21-year-old, okay, who's at least under team control through 2027, who they might even try to sign to one of those long-term contracts if he becomes a stud starter. And that's, of course, Mr. Grissom, Vaughn Grissom. So, they have a replacement if they decide not to re-sign Dansby. Do I want them to re-sign Dansby? Absolutely. But we'll have to wait and see if they can come to a middle ground with the salary. I tend to agree with Bill Shanks. I would want a 5 or 6 year deal. I don't know for a guy like Dansby, when you're talking about being 28 already, that I would go for an 8-year contract, because you don't see shortstops, even the great Derek Jeter. You just talked about watching the captain. But when you reach your mid-30s or your late 30s as a shortstop, usually, unless you're juicing, it's going to fall off. Look at Tatis already, the moron. And he's a young guy. He's already been stupid and now is out for the rest of the year and some of next because he was juicing. He can't fill this position anyway. He's probably overrated. What has he done lately anyways?
Fernando Tatis Jr.?
Yeah, nothing. And San Diego, by the way, is in the middle of gagging again. They gagged and missed the playoffs last year. Wouldn't shock me if they did the exact same thing. And they made all those deals, and they got, strut around Soto in there, and who knows? I hope, honestly, I love the old school logo and the old school uniforms and the hats and stuff, but I'm not a big Machado fan because I think he's all style, no substance. Ever since I saw him move on from Baltimore, and he put on that pathetic, choke show when he was with the Dodgers in the playoffs. And so, and again, I don't like Soto. I think he's a great hitter, but just sell him for what he thinks he's worth. And being 23 years old and showing people up all the time, but I'm not a big fan of his either. But we'll see. And again, they're very talented, and San Diego has turned into one of those aggressive franchises that spends a crap ton of money. They're not the Dodgers, but they're right up underneath them. But they choked and missed the playoffs last year, and right now, I wouldn't be shocked if they did it again, which would be kind of humorous with all – Kim Kirkton, who is a Hall of Famer, as good a media guy as there is in baseball, said they may have made the most significant trades in baseball history to supposedly put themselves over the top. It'd be funny if they cratered because everybody's too busy preening in the dugout, worried about how much money they're making instead of actually trying to win a baseball game.
256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. A little Major League Baseball talk for you on a Wednesday morning. Kind of getting down into the crunch time there as far as division standings, wild card standings go. This is when people somewhat, the casual baseball fan starts turning into baseball, starts flipping that channel and kind of paying attention to see if their team is still in the race. 256-576-4977. College football news and notes. to get to. We did not get to mention this yesterday. And last year we had the privilege of traveling up 65 to Indianapolis to partake in the festivities of the College Football National Championship.
A homemade chili dog. Now, you usually handle the food, okay? You usually talk about that. But I had a homemade chili dog. But I have to, because I have to talk about that. I mean, it was a homemade bun. It was hot.
Yeah, it cost us 45 minutes.
It did. And it was homemade chili. And an unbelievable hot dog.
Yes.
And it was basically life-changing.
The Uptown Cafe.
It was probably the best chili dog I've ever had in my life. I've never really had a homemade bun that was hot right out of the oven. Okay?
Literally, yes. It was.
I mean,
we waited 45 minutes
you
for
probably
it to
should have
be
had
done.
one yourself.
I should have. If I would have known we were going to wait that long, I would have ordered it just because. But
I didn't realize that's what they were doing either. I just ordered a chili dog. I mean, it reminded me of Superman, you know, and Lois Lane had chili dogs at 9 o'clock in the morning, but I just figured they'd have everything on the menu all the time. I didn't know.
To your defense, it was 10:30 Eastern time. 9:30.
That's right.
It was 9:30 Central time, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
So, yes, you partook in the chili. My point was we went up to Indianapolis and froze, by the way.
We froze. I mean, and
froze.
the manager of the establishment, great guy, is
Marty.
wearing shorts, and it's 9 degrees, so it's different up there, man. That's not really cold to them.
It is cold to them.
It's cold, but I mean, he's wearing shorts, man.
I know. So the whole point of me bringing up going to Indianapolis.
Sorry, I just had to relive that.
Nope, that's fine because look, I wake up every morning to text alerts because I signed up for something with the cafe that we were at.
Oh, you forgot, yeah.
I still get updates about all their food
What if they
that
could
they
mail
have.
us some chili dogs one time?
I don't want the chili. I want the cinnamon rolls.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you had one that was big as a manhole cover.
Oh, and it was fresh. I mean, they make their own cinnamon rolls and bread and all that. Anyway, we're digressing from where I was going with all of this.
Shouldn't.
No, because it was good food, though.
It was.
Anyway,
they were really nice.
The whole point of all of this is that, remember Las Vegas, a town of I don't know how much and has all the ample opportunities in the world, somehow overbooked things and could not host the 2025 College Football National Championship game.
Oh, yeah.
Remember all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Atlanta stepped in and stepped up, and so Atlanta will now be the host of the 2025 College Football National Championship game. So
there you go.
So I think in a couple years, we again can make a trip to the College Football National Championship game because this is going to be right over that was my whole point to all of this. Yeah. And then in 2026, it'll go to Miami.
Okay.
So they announced that in 2025, it'll be in Atlanta, and in 2026, it'll move.
So I just wonder if we'll find like homemade chili dogs in Atlanta.
Well, in 2000, so remember now, this coming season, it's going to be in L.A.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in the land of fruit and nuts.
I know.
What if Wes Neighbors said, okay, we're going to pack up the family truckster again, and we're all going to pack up and go to L.A. for the national championship game?
I mean, hey.
Are you all aboard going to the land of fruit and nuts?
For the first time in my life, I'd have to go to the West Coast and, just experience wackos or something. I don't know.
In 2024, the College Football National Championship game will be played in Houston.
Yeah, and I've been to at least Fort Worth, so I mean that Houston would be interesting. Now the traffic would be awful, but it'd be awful in Los Angeles too. But
yes. So there you go. 2023 LA, 2024 Houston, 25 will be in Atlanta, and then in 26 we go to Miami. So there you go. That's the layout of the College Football National Championship games.
Well, who knows? I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to live there, but I could visit Los Angeles, I guess, for a couple of days.
So we get the College Basketball National Championship game. It rotates around.
Yeah.
Big arenas.
Mm-hmm.
Should the College Football National Championship game just be, is it good to move it around to different cities, or should it be one of those ones where it establishes a home?
Well, it's interesting because we know Omaha is the home of the College World Series.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
They've of course they've got TV Ameritrade now. Before they had Rosenblatt, and they have one facility, and we see it on a smaller stage too in the SEC baseball tournament for the most part. It's been in Hoover for 20 plus years.
And the SEC basketball tournament has found a home in Nashville.
Well, and if they'd stop moving it to Tampa every now and then in St. Louis and these other places that shouldn't be, because I'm sorry, Nashville, it should be Nashville. I mean, to me, and I guess I'm biased because the best college football is in the South. I wouldn't mind it being in Atlanta, where the College Football Hall of Fame is, and kind of being the permanent home for the national championship game. But I will say this: if you were going to do it in that form and fashion, you might even consider building a stadium that just hosted it. In almost like a shrine, like they built the College Football Hall of Fame. But see, the reason they won't is it's money. Because all these facilities want to host this stuff, and then
that's where the money comes from.
Because, I've never been to Vegas. Okay, people haven't been to Vegas. You go to Vegas, you get a chance to experience it. You get a chance to experience what you just said, the land of fruits and nuts, and Los Angeles.
Vegas is the buffets now. If you go to Vegas, it's all about. It used to be. Now it's not. Now it's all about. But it used to be about.
And even though I about froze my rear end off, and I've never been colder in my life, and I almost got freezer burn, and I couldn't even feel my freaking hands, and I was trying to do a radio interview, and I couldn't even feel my phone. I couldn't feel my hands. I had to get inside so I could thaw out.
You became angry by walking a block and a half.
It was awful. But that part of it. But the stadium was really nice, and the experience of going to Indianapolis I enjoyed. It's just the cold was unreal, and I guess it's tough to see it in a cold weather city just because when you have to experience something like that. It was bone cold, as they call it, man. I had a radio station blowing me up, and I wanted to, and I helped them out, but my goodness, I couldn't even feel my hands. It's unbelievable. It's so cold. At least we know if it's in Los Angeles, you're not going to be cold. Now, there's some other things probably going on you're not going to like, but still.
That's why I was wondering if we packed up the family truckster, would you actually make that trip?
Well, of course,
with us
I'm not going to turn down a chance
Angeles.
to cover a national championship game, even if never mind. I'm not going to say what I'd like to say. Just not a fan of California. Okay,
that's all right. Let's get our first break in. When we come back,
no disrespect to Daryl Miles, who is a good friend and grew up there.
Playing for the Cal Bears though.
Yeah, and in the NFL for the Raiders, but we just don't. I'm just not a fan of the environment sometimes in California.
All right, when we come back, Alex Scarborough and Chris Lowe give us some SEC headlines to think about for the new year.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They have been rerouting all the southbound traffic on the Parkway off to the access road around Bob Wallace and Drake. And they've got HPD stationed north of Useless northbound trying to slow things down there. Had a pedestrian struck by a vehicle during the night. They've been investigating that. Are you over 35 and overweight? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
The world champs are back. The Braves are out to defend their world championship. And behind Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Max Fried, and this loaded 2022 roster, a repeat is within reach.
There goes Ozzie, 2-2 on the way, hit well. Deep center field. Might have ourselves a tie ball game. You betcha.
And we'll bring you every huge moment of the Braves 2022 season right here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
I hadn't called in during your show lately, but just wanted to say hi. It's just amazing. It's the great people y'all have and the great personalities and all the talent. And We're lucky in this area to have you guys.
Listen to the Big Dog, weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find him online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talkin' Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And it's always fun to kind of look and you kind of go over some of the best players, some of the players to watch in college football. And ESPN has released their top 100 players in college football. Now, we're not going to go over all 100 players in college football, but I'm going to group this all together real fast because if it's any indication on who the top 4 teams are in America, just look at the top 10 players in college football. That'll tell you who the best teams are probably this year. So number 1 and number 2 on the list is number 1 is Will Anderson. Number 2 is Bryce Young.
Right.
That's the top 2 players that ESPN has listed as the top 100.
And I would agree with that.
Number 3 and number 4 go to Ohio State. C.J. Stroud,
and then the receiver.
Jackson Smith, Njigba. Those are the top 4. So
Right.
there you go. You got Alabama and Ohio State, coincidentally, 1 and 2 in the college football ratings or the rankings.
When we saw Smith-Nigba the last time, he was just lighting up Utah in the Rose Bowl.
Right. So number 5 is Bijan Robinson.
And he's a really good player.
He's good, right. But that's all Texas
Not
has.
hearing a lot of great things about Texas training camp. I'll just say that.
No. Oh, yeah,
we'll
we
see.
forgot. There was, yeah.
Well, they had a lot of injuries, but I just think also I was predicting them to be better, and I still think they will be, but I still think they got a ways to go. I mean, I really do. I'm not sure they're that talented. And so –
Well, we forgot to mention that Ajay Hall suspended.
Oh, just shocked about
Texas.
this.
Yeah, that's what we forgot.
Ajay Moron gets arrested for, and that's his name from now on.
Ajay Moron?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
When you threaten to kill the Brockermeyer brothers and get kicked off campus, and then you get a boot put on your Porsche or whatever the hell he was driving, and then you take the boot off and you're strutting around trying to drive it around campus, basically bragging that you got the boot off. You're a moron.
Now, he was arrested for removing a parking boot from his vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic.
At the University of Texas, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how stupid are you?
According to the officer there in Austin, the University of Texas Police Department, he says, I was on patrol, advised dispatch of a black male subject that was irate over having his vehicle booted. The officer stated that he advised the subject not to damage or remove the parking boot because it was UT property. He arrived on the scene and observed the individual swinging a tire iron at the parking boot.
Yeah.
He said the parking boot was damaged to the point that the part of it shattered and completely separated from the wheel of Ajay's vehicle. Hall had been warned previously by multiple officers not to damage the parking boot.
Yeah.
Steve Sarkisian has suspended Ajay Hall.
Indefinitely.
Yes.
So Ajay Moron likely won't play against Alabama. Still has made like 2 plays in his life and, needed a sack half the time in the national championship game after putting up a picture of Michael Jordan before the game. Just let's not forget that. Probably deleted it by now, and I sure as hell hope he would, because comparing him to Michael Jordan is an insult. That's even worse than LaDum. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even a conversation either, but at least LaDum has won some NBA championships and scored a bunch of points and, had is a top 15 player of all time, top 5, give me a break. But anyway, but it's still, Ajay Hall, and a.k.a. Moron, I mean, he's just no maturity at all. All of this is his fault, okay? You can't blame society. He's just not mature enough. He got himself, run out of the Alabama program because he wouldn't do things the right way. And shocker, he's over here in Austin, Texas, doing stupid things too.
That is a epitome
come
of
on.
stupid. All right, we're going to get back to this list real fast, but let's get out to the phone lines. Randy's with us this morning. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, fellas. How y'all?
Good, Randy. How you been doing, sir?
I've been doing good, Drew. What about y'all?
Doing well. Thank you, man. Appreciate you calling.
Trying to stay busy.
Well, good. Are you busy? Are you busy with the car?
How's that going?
How about 2 cars?
Wow, you got 2 cars.
Whoa.
Now what are you doing? What car are you building now?
I got a 50 Falcon I'm working on, too.
A 50 Falcon.
Wow.
Nice.
50.
Nice.
What's on your mind, bud?
Hey, Drew, I agree. I don't like California either.
There you go.
But listen,
have you ever visited, Randy? I know you've had a lot of experiences in your life. Have you ever been to California?
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Been outside the Rose Bowl, never been in it.
Oh, have you? Well, I've never. Scott's been inside it. I had never been.
Oh. I was going to ask Joe anyway when I got back on there with you. What's the deal moving that thing from the Rose Bowl to where they're talking about?
No, they were moving it from Las Vegas. So Las Vegas
overbooked.
Yeah, Las Vegas. I don't understand that at all. Las Vegas overbooked, and so they could not host the 2025 national championship game. So they're moving it from Las Vegas, and so Atlanta stepped in and stepped up. So Atlanta will host the 25 national championship game.
Yeah, Indianapolis, I didn't really care for them being there either, Drew.
Well, it's a really nice facility. It's freezing, man. I mean, when you're losing feel in your extremities and you've only been outside for 5 minutes, it's pretty brutal. Now the slippery noodle was nice. It was packed, and it
was packed.
and I had one of Scott finally got me to have a pork tenderloin sandwich, which was very interesting. Some good food over there, and great people, by the way.
Oh yeah, they got great food and people over there.
Yeah,
and their stadium, that stadium's nice.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just the weather, like you said, more or less. But we've had just as cold here. We shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah.
Hey, talking about that list of players a while ago, you're probably going to have a few more at Alabama, ain't you?
Well, you got a chance. I mean, Dallas Turner is going to be in his first full year as a starter, and he's got a chance to have a really good year. I still think Henry To'oTo'o has got a chance to be special. No question about that.
I think that running back from Georgia Tech is going to be good too.
Oh yeah. Jahmyr Gibbs, no question about that. I think he's going to be dynamic.
Hey, what about that? I heard the other day they got a top line receiver too.
Yeah, they got Jermaine Burton in the transfer portal from Georgia and Tyler Harrell from Louisville. I don't think Tyler's ready right now to be a starter, but certainly I think Jermaine Burton's wide receiver 1 right now, and I think Ja'Cory Brooks is probably second. Now Ja'Cory didn't have the greatest scrimmage of all time on Saturday, but I think he had up until that point, a very good fall camp. But I think your top two, Ja'Cory got a lot of playing time at the end of last year, and then Burton, as you know, is the number 1 receiver at Georgia before he decided I'll never get drafted in the first round if I stay here and watch him throw the ball to the tight end 3 of every 4 passes.
Let me say a couple more things, and I'll get off here.
Sure.
I heard the other day that somebody had already picked Alabama and Georgia to be back in that thing again.
Yeah, they've been picked to. Yeah. I mean, coming out of SEC Media Days, Randy, they've been picked to represent the East and the West in the SEC championship game, and majority of the experts say the SEC will once again get 2 teams in the college football playoffs. Those 2 teams will be Alabama and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? If they make it to California, you have to keep that $1 million boy out of trouble. He's from California, right?
Jalen or Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't think we have to worry about keeping him out of trouble.
Yeah.
No, saving to keep him straight.
Well, yeah.
He's been a pretty good fellow, I guess. He went home by himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, y'all have a good one, fellas.
Thank you, Randy.
You know, it was funny. We talked about Randy the other day. We hadn't heard from him.
We hadn't heard from him.
Yeah, hadn't heard from him in a long time.
Now when we hadn't, because he's got 2 cars.
Now he's got
a 50 Falcon and
yep.
Wasn't it like a
I forget.
I think no, not a Camaro. I think it's a Mustang.
Mustang. You're right.
It's a Mustang and a Falcon.
The man to beat me in paper football.
Yeah, he sure did a few years ago.
Can't believe we brought him in here to play paper football.
Yeah, we did. At our old palatial estate.
All right, so we were going over the top 100 players in college football, and we mentioned the top 2. We mentioned those. Now, number 6 and number 8 on this list, Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia, and number 8 on the list, Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia.
I mean, why isn't he in the top 5?
Well, look at the top 5, though. I mean, you've got Will Anderson, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and then you got Bijan Robinson.
Oh, give me a break. Put Bowers above Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson lost to Kansas. Went 5-7 for crying out loud.
So last year, Brock Bowers had 56 catches, 882 yards, a school record 13 touchdown receptions for Georgia. Now, let me ask you this.
He was better than Jordan Davis.
Let me ask. So Bryce Young obviously is going to get compared to Bryce Young's numbers from last year because he's the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. Bryce Young goes out if he throws for whatever against Texas A&M or Alabama or Auburn or whatever, he's always going to be compared to that previous game and the whole year. Brock Bowers is a phenomenal talent. But are we going to look at Brock Bowers in that same breath this year? What if Georgia is loaded at tight end, not just Brock Bowers. They've got a couple other ones. They could have the best trio of tight ends in college football if they all perform. Does Brock Bowers' numbers stay the same this year? Is he going to have...
He better have 1,000 yards if they want to get back to the playoff. That's all I'm saying. He better get 10 targets a game.
Does he have to have those numbers?
Yes, because he's their best player. He's a freakazoid. So he needs to be featured in the passing game. And you've got a veteran quarterback back who didn't start the season because, nerve medication was the starter. Another overrated USC Trojan and JT Daniels, who's now trying to burn couches at West Virginia. But early in the season, Stetson Bennett took over, and now it's hard. It's kind of interesting because we had a caller the other day call in. I believe it was Michael.
Talking about
Stetson Bennett. And what you have to understand, and this is pretty unbelievable, because Stetson had an outstanding year last year, and they won the national championship. But he wasn't the starting quarterback coming out of camp. This will be the first time that he is. So you've got a veteran quarterback now, though, that's played quite a bit of football during his time at Georgia. Because he's had to come in for JT on 2 occasions. Now comes back for his super senior year, COVID, basically, because he wasn't valued by the pro scouts. But he gets a chance now to start a full season, but you have a veteran quarterback, your offensive coordinator's back, scheme should be the same, but the focus of said scheme should be on trying to get Brock Bowers the football. I would say at least 5 catches a game, and if you can get 10, go ahead. But he should be the focal point of your offense, even more so than the running game. Now, Georgia's always going to be a running team because of the way Kirby wants to play, and they're going to run the football, but you've got to find ways to get the ball to Brock Bowers. Even if you hand it to him on end arounds, because he's that kind of freakazoid, or throw him screens. We saw him throw a quick screen for a touchdown against Alabama when he broke 4 tackles and ran right into our living rooms in the end zone as much as I wanted to puke in the floor. But, the guy was a great player. You have to give credit when the guy's a stud, and he was a stud because he decided he had to, in order to better his life, he had to leave the state of California.
All right, 256-576-4977. We got to get a break in, but I do want to pass along a happy 4th birthday to Talia Grace. Talia Grace turns 4. To her one birthday wish was to get her picture taken with Bryce Young.
Nice.
So her and her family drove down to Alabama practice.
Oh.
Made it happen.
Oh, cool.
Got her picture made with Bryce Young at practice, I believe on Monday.
So they were able to, they had clearance, huh?
So they hung around there and made it happen. But Talia Grace, 4 years old today,
nice. Big
Alabama fan, got her birthday wish by having her picture made with Bryce Young. So we're mentioning Bryce. We got it in there. So happy birthday, Talia Grace.
Thumbs up to that. That's the only time I'll use a Texas A&M Maggie.
Thumbs
up, yeah.
Is that what they do?
Yeah.
And
I accidentally took home my picture of Dirt Neck that I can't put on the camera. I left it in the freaking kitchen because the czar put it in my bag and I didn't know. I was trying to leave it here to make a dartboard out of it. Probably because you know how he is. He's a clean freak. He doesn't want anything left over here. So he put it courtesy of Richard, our great caller, by the way. We appreciate that. But he's the one that sent the picture of Dirt Neck.
All right, let's get that break in. Happy birthday to Leah Grace. More Talking Ball, wrapping up hour 1 next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm not seeing any major snags now. They've reopened the parkway where we had that pedestrian struck, that stretch from about Bob Wallace down to Useless. They had traffic restricted for a while, but they now have reopened everything. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman. Hope to see you soon.
Two Maids and a Mop. That's all you need to know to clean house. Two Maids and a Mop is an award-winning company, bonded and insured. Hire them for yourself, or they have gift cards if you want to make someone else's day. Find out more online at twomaidshuntsville.com. A maid service worth talking about. Two Maids and a Mop take care of everything. They supply all the cleaning equipment needed. Call 256-883-6243. The only finger you'll need to lift is the one to call them.
Something you probably do know. Progressive can not only offer you a great price when you bundle home and auto, they offer you round-the-clock protection. Something you probably don't know, the average garage door is made up of 1.3 millimeter aluminum panels. Something you probably do know, your neighbor likes to tinker with his dirt bike. Something you probably don't know, a runaway dirt bike can take out your garage door and a good portion of your car bumper. Bundle your home and auto with Progressive and get more than a great price. Get round-the-clock protection. Something you know for the things you don't know. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
From the Alabama Crimson Tide to the Atlanta Braves, we are 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talkin' Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 7:51 on a Wednesday morning. 256-576-4977. The phone lines are open to you if you want to get in and join the conversation. It's been a fun conversation so far this morning. Just about everything. We've talked a lot of college football.
Heard from Randy.
We did hear from Randy. Chris Lowe and Alex Scarborough have laid out some, they call it the preview of the SEC. They're breaking down the conference, best players, games, and more. They're giving us their storylines that they're going to follow for the year. Saban versus Jimbo.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, October 8th, that'll all get put to rest. Georgia reloading as a headline that they put out there as well. How good do you think that Georgia defense will be this year?
He'll still be really good. I mean, when they got Will Muschamp, very experienced, to basically take the spot of Dan Lanning. Glenn Schumann's still there. Kirby Smart is always going to be very heavy-handed with the defense, so it'll always be an emphasis. They play a lot of guys. They've recruited very well, so I don't expect a ton of drop-off defensively. I think they're going to have definitely the best defense in the SEC East, and again, I think philosophically I don't expect many changes offensively. They may add some new wrinkles to get Brock Bowers the ball, and certainly I think they need to. But again, I'm going to be more. What's really going to be interesting is is Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh. How good are these two dudes going to be? Because as you know, I love James Cook. I thought he was underrated. I think he's going to have a very solid pro career. Zeus White was a solid player. You lost both of them, but are these two backs going to be ready to roll and to keep this Georgia running game? What was the backbone of their team along with Brock Bowers? And that's Georgia's identity, physicality, being able to run the ball, and then getting the ball to a freakazoid tight end, who, by the way, the one thing we do know is he was unknown going into last year. Now he will be a guy that's people game plan for, but can you still get him the football? You still should be able to, and he still should be a guy if you've done your job, recruiting, and it seems that Georgia has, you've got to be able to get some of these wide receivers in one-on-one matchups and get them the football down the field. And with the extra attention that Bowers is going to definitely warrant, you should be able to. But like you said, Scott, they've also got a deep tight end room. This should be a good offense, and they had a really good offense at Georgia last year, but they've recruited well, and they should be able to reload and be the best team in the SEC East. Now, we don't know how hard they could potentially be hit by injuries, because each and every year that's out of your control. But if they stay healthy, they're going to be very good.
A story that we haven't got to talk a lot about, and here's Lane Kiffin kind of giving us the inside scoop on this one.
Hey, you guys have also added a punter to your roster. Can you talk a little bit about him?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him. I think he was down at the frat house, like at a keg party or something, where they got him from. So we got some conditioning work to do with my guy, but we just said, hey, someone go find a punter around campus, and so we found one that actually used to punt in Division I. So you never know.
Found him at a frat house.
Well, okay. And my question for Coach Kiffin would be, were you at that frat house keg party? Because probably you were. Probably is Joey Freshwater.
Oh,
I don't know.
Charlie Pollock is the individual's name.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin making a reference that they found him at a frat house like at a keg party.
Well,
that's where their new punter came from.
Well, I'm just saying, and you recognize the voice of the guy that asked the question. It was David Johnson, who's been on this show several times.
Yeah.
Rebels 24/7. But yeah, I mean, obviously they found him a punter that Lane was probably drunk with.
Hey, you guys have also added a punter to your roster.
You're going to hear all day.
Can you talk a little bit about him?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him. I think he was down at the frat house, like at a keg party or something, where they got him from. So,
oh Lord. Lane, always front and center. Don't know if I would have given that kind of information out, but, it is what it is. He's always floated to his own drum, whatever the hell you want to say.
What does it say, though, about your program? You got to go on campus.
When you're talking about going to, frat parties and finding your punter, drinking at a kegger. You couldn't get one through
the transfer portal? You got everything else?
Right.
You got everything else through the transfer portal. You couldn't get a punter?
Yeah. You found my guy chugging Budweiser.
I bet you he could hold it above his head longer than you could.
I'm sure he could, not fall on his ass. Pardon my French there. At least I tried.
I know you did.
You didn't really try. I did.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
With my horrific balance. Okay. So our studio smelled like beer for like a week.
A week?
Yeah.
Smelled for longer than that. It was one of the greatest moments that we have had.
Yeah.
We're just about done with our...
Speaking of great moments.
Number one here on Talking Ball. Coming up to kick off our number two.
Steve Robertson.
We're going to talk some Mississippi State football because they're intriguing. Mike Leach and company.
Most experienced coming back in the league.
Yes. And why are we not talking about Mississippi State more?
It's always flying under the radar, as our good friend Matt Wyatt said.
When we asked the question a couple weeks ago, it was, okay, which of these teams have the possibility of getting 10 wins? We've mentioned LSU. We mentioned Arkansas. We mentioned Ole Miss, possibly. Why do we not ever mention Mississippi State? We'll talk to Steve Robertson coming up next.
Bailey Custom Boats. We knew our boats were special when we would stop at any outdoor store to stock up on supplies for a boat trip, only to come back out to the parking lot and see people standing on and around our boat and a confused sales rep telling them it's not for sale and they don't even have that type of boat. Fast forward a few years, and now you can buy your very own one-of-a-kind Bailey Custom Boat. We hand-cut our wood from cypress we pull from the river in Mississippi. There's a lifetime warranty on the bill. Faster and more maneuverable like a ski boat, and better fuel mileage than any pontoon on the market. With 350 horsepower, a Bailey Custom Boat will go 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. And our custom boats are Coast Guard approved for offshore and virtually unsinkable. We'll be showcasing our custom boats at different lakes over the next few weeks. Find out where at BaileyCustomBoats.com, on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We're taking orders now for 2023 delivery from April to May. You gotta pay to play. BaileyCustomBoats.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm not seeing any major snags now. They've reopened the parkway where we had that pedestrian struck. That stretch from about Bob Wallace down to Useless, they had traffic restricted for a while, but they now have reopened everything. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Scattered showers through a good chunk of the afternoon. That plus a fair amount of cloud cover really going to prevent temperatures from climbing much higher than the low and mid-80s, dropping into the mid-60s as we head into the overnight. More sunshine for your Thursday afternoon and less rain. That should allow temperatures to climb into the upper 80s and lower 90s, dropping into the lower 70s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The initial AP college football poll ahead of the 2022 season. Alabama preseason number 1 for the 9th time. The Crimson Tide, the plus 150 favorite to win the college football playoff national championship. Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, and Notre Dame round out the top 5. Ohio State at plus 250 odds to win the title. Georgia at plus 500. The Braves go for their 9th win in a row after beating the Mets in Game 2 5-0 and locking in Michael Harris for 8 more years. Atlanta a plus 125 moneyline underdog at home in Game 3 against Mets starter Max Scherzer. Mets minus 145, 7.5 the total. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out until 9 a.m. here in the Tennessee Valley. It is a Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. So hour 1, to fill you in, we were talking some SEC football, going over some of the best players throughout the country in college football as a general. And then to end hour number 1, we were talking about when we talk about teams that have high expectations and teams that could possibly win 10 games, maybe 9, maybe 10 games. We always tend to talk about the LSUs, Texas A&Ms, the Arkansas because of what Sam Pittman is doing and the turnaround he has done. But I asked the question, why do we not talk about Mississippi State, especially this year when they return a veteran group, especially on that offensive side of the ball? Why do we not talk about Mike Leach more and possibly taking that next step? And we just tend to forget about Mississippi State.
Yeah, and our next guest, there's no one better, no one that knows the University of in Starkville, Mississippi, and Mississippi State University better than our next guest. He's an accomplished author now because he's churned out so many great works. And his latest, of course, being Dogpile, chronicling the national championship run the season ago in college baseball, the historic one, the first national championship team-wise in Mississippi State history, when Chris Lemonis and those guys won it all. And really the only thing that storied program had not done, and now they have been a national champion. We know he did Flim Flam, the book. We promoted that, Alpha Dogs and Stark Villains, and you can order any of these at dogpilethebook.com. And, of course, he has one of the best podcasts out there, The Boneyard, and is putting together now an unbelievable rock show for NIL-wise for Mississippi State University, and that is Steve Robertson. He's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Steve, I know you're very busy, a lot of projects going on, but thank you for the time this morning. How are you?
Well, I'm tired. It's a lot going on, but I tell you, it's been a fun few days, and you know, we're wrapping up fall camp here pretty soon, and getting out there in that heat. I tell you, that's the one thing that every year, maybe I'm just getting older, but I tell you, it feels like it gets hotter and hotter every summer, and I just, a lot of thoughts and prayers out there for football players everywhere at every level that have to get out there in shoulder pad and helmets and endure this heat. So it's been good, but at the same time, too, it's a grind.
Your observations so far, let's just start there. Your observations of fall camp so far with Mike Leach and the Bulldogs.
Well, Mississippi State defensively is going to be probably better than they have been since 2018, and that's the year you had Jeff Simmons and Montez Sweat and Jonathan Abram all go in the first round. And I don't know if you've got a first rounder this year, but you've got some professional football players on this roster, and State did really well in the portal when it came to getting some secondary help. And this front, State runs a 3-3-5, and you drop the Sam linebacker down there sometimes as as an edge rusher. And it's a very, very good group. And last week I thought the defense I wouldn't say they dominated practice, but I thought they won every day. And so far this week, I think it's been the opposite. I think the offense has kind of counterpunched and done really well. But Will Rogers, there really is no quarterback competition. Mike Leach said there would be, but maybe in his mind there is. But the reality of it is Will Rogers is noticeably ahead of everybody else. Sawyer Robertson has been elevated to the number 2 quarterback, and he's taken some days probably 55 or 60% of the routes. And I think that's just to kind of get him ready just in case you have to use him at some point in the season. But I like the team. I think they're ahead of schedule, and I don't think there's anybody out there, with maybe the exception of Alabama, that looks at this and say, hey, this is probably a sure win for us. I think State's going to be in every game. I think they're going to, in year 3 under Leach, probably going to put the best product on the field they have in recent years.
Well, and Steve, the one thing we know is Leach beats to his own drummer, and he wants to get his guys in there. And there were some bumps in the road the first couple of years. Some guys maybe didn't fit, but I think they're really starting to. And when you follow his career, what he did at Texas Tech, what he did at Washington State, I know he doesn't pay attention really to star rankings. He wants to get guys that, especially at the receiver spot, that fit his system. Talk about the receivers and what he's got now, because they went through some turnover in that room over the first couple of seasons. But running back wise, he seems to have a really good 1-2 punch there. Those 2 guys are your second and third leading receivers on the squad. But talk about the skill spots right now besides Will Rogers.
Yeah, this wide receiver group is probably the deepest of my lifetime. And Steve Spurrier Jr. said when they got here they were going to have to commit a lot more scholarship slots for wide receiver. And now 3 years into this thing, you're kind of seeing that come to fruition. And, again, they go out and work the portal, and you get Justin Robinson from Georgia and Jordan Mosley from Northwestern. And I don't know if either one of those guys start, but they're going to be heavily involved in the rotation. And Justin Robinson got here, and he was basically kind of a jumbo X. And you look at him now, he looks a whole lot more like Mekhi Polk did last year. And State loses a couple guys from the room, but old steady Eddie Austin Williams is back, and Tulu Griffin is back, and Rufus Harvey's taking a nice jump. And there's a lot of competition there. And they'd like to play probably 8 receivers in a rotation, but I would say there's probably 11 candidates to be in that rotation right now. I mean, there's just they have some options at receiver, and it's not like it was years ago where basically you played 3 or 4 guys and hoped nobody got injured. I mean, it's a really talented group. And you mentioned the running backs and Jaquavius Marks and Dylan Johnson, and they're veterans now. I mean, they all had to start as freshmen back in 2020 after Colin Hill opted out of the season. But the guy that's really been the talk of camp at running back is former South Carolina commitment Simeon Price, and he has been outstanding. I think there is an element of explosiveness with him that maybe Marks and DJ don't have. So he kind of complements what they do. It's not just more of the same. But he really began to emerge, I would say, 10 days ago, had a couple of good practices, and the next thing you know, he starts stacking some good days, and he's really challenging to be the third running back in this unit. And so I think, provided State can get out there and protect, I think State's going to have some guys that can distribute the football to with success.
Will Rogers coming in, we know he is the quarterback. Came off a record-setting last year, over 4,700 yards, 36 touchdowns. But I'm sure Sawyer Robinson and Chance Lovertich kind of pushing him a little bit in camp this year.
Well, I think that's what Mike Leach would like people to believe. I think Will has taken the job and really kind of run with it. What's interesting, too, is I even asked Leach about this, and he kind of brushed the question off. Is Will Rogers just not getting much respect around this league? And to kind of frame it up a little bit, Will Rogers had the 3rd most prolific passing season in the history of the Southeastern Conference. And the 2 guys that beat him won the Heisman Trophy. I mean, that's pretty elite company. Joe Burrow and Bryce Young. Those guys are the only 2 guys in the history of this league to have more passing yards in the season. And so I think Will may not admit this publicly, but I think Will still feels like he has something to prove, and I think that's a good thing for he and Mike Leach both. This is a motivated guy that did some great things last year, but I still don't know that he gets the acclaim that he deserves. And so Will in camp, I think, has been outstanding. And, a couple of years ago, it was almost kind of, hey, excuse me, can you line up here? Today it's like, hey, guys, let's get it going. Get it right. You know better than this. And because you've got options at receiver, you can always yank a guy. So there's a new level of accountability.
Yeah, nearly 4,800 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and I believe about 74% completions. That's not too bad.
No, and that's kind of the thing with this air raid offense. A lot of people think you're just kind of lining up with 4 wides and throwing the Hail Mary at the pass, and that's just not the case. And you're dinking and dunking a lot, and you get those safeties to commit, and then you kind of stretch the field a little bit. And so, Will understands how Leach wants this thing to run, and so decision making is a big part of it. It's funny too. There are times they'll be calling plays, and Rodgers will look to the sideline and look at Leach and have a question, and Leach just say, "You're the quarterback. What do you want to do?" And so there's just this level of autonomy, I guess, when it comes to quarterback. And Will, now with a couple of years in the system, and camp number 3, is really kind of embraced what Mike Leach is expected of him. And we, provided he stays healthy, we think he's going to have a very special year.
Well, and then we talked to our good friend Matt White as well, that you know very well, and he educated us too, because this is something. There were strides made in year 2, a winning season. I took umbrage with Matt Hayes of the Bleacher Report. He said that Leach could be on the hot seat going into this year. I disagree with that. I think he's got the program going in the right direction. And then Matt pointed out that State has the most experience coming back of any team in the SEC, starter-wise.
There's zero chance that Mike Leach is on the hot seat. Absolutely zero. And unlike Matt, I'm not guessing. And, barring some type of scandal or something like that, Mike Leach is going to be the head football coach of Mississippi State for the foreseeable future. And, I think this is the team, too. A lot of people say, well, you know what, he's lost both Egg Bowls, and that's a big deal around here. It is. But, like somebody said earlier, hey, it's like if you win 9 games and one of the losses is in the Egg Bowl, are you okay? And I think most people could find a way to be okay with that, because it gives you a chance for a 10-win season in a bowl game. But, this is a team that, people always say, well, what's the floor? I think the floor is probably 7-5, and then you had the bowl game. But I think probably the over and under for this team is 8-4, with the possibility of getting to 9, maybe 10 if everything kind of goes right for you. You just never know how things are going to go on the schedule. But this is going to be a really solid bowl team. And I do think this is a team that will go up to Oxford and beat Ole Miss this year. And I just think with all this experience on offense, they're going to stress the defense so much. And if you look at how the schedule plays out, at just about all these toss-up games that are so important that are really define Mississippi State's season, State gets the benefit of getting somebody in a bit of a trap game, and you begin to look at Georgia and you begin to look at A&M, and I think if you ask the average fan around college football and say, hey, who's had the better run of it in the last decade, Mississippi State or Texas A&M, Mississippi State or Auburn? I think most people would say it's been A&M or Auburn, but that's not true. Mississippi State, like the series with Auburn, is 5-5, and then State has a winning record against A&M since Johnny Manziel left. And so I don't know that State gets enough respect, but I think Michael Leach kind of likes it that way. It's just kind of fly under the radar and then go ambush somebody.
Yeah, and then that opener, though, a couple of years ago, this Memphis team was a team you don't want to sleep on. That's a name-wise, and because Memphis has been a thorn in the side of a lot of teams early in the season. That home opener for Mississippi State it should be a good one, Mississippi State and Memphis.
I don't know that it should be, to be quite honest with you. I don't think last year should have been either. I think State kind of farted around out there a little bit, and then you had that controversial play where Martin Emerson downs the football and the bag judge blows it dead, and kid from Memphis picks it up and runs back for a touchdown, and everybody acts like we didn't see it, and then the official gets suspended by the league, and you get a letter of apology, but that doesn't change your win-loss record. And I look for State to come out and set a statement in that game. I joked with one of the assistant coaches the other day. I said, does Memphis have your full attention? And he goes, if Leach can get 100, he'll get 100. It's just one of those deals. I think after last year, there's such a bitter taste in their mouth, not just because of what happened, but how it was handled afterwards. So I don't think you're going to see this thing, go down to a possession or two. My hope is that Will Rogers can come out in that first quarter and not try to get too far ahead of himself. Let's just go play the game, run the offense, that sort of stuff. But they'll be jacked up and ready to play. But I just, with the defense Mississippi State has this year, I think these non-conference games, I think State should probably win all 4 of those, with probably the most difficult one being a road trip to Arizona. Not that I expect Arizona to be great, but it's a Power 5 opponent. You're on the road. You're having to play at 8 o'clock at night, which is 10 o'clock local time, and so that's not necessarily a recipe for success. But that Memphis game, if State loses that game early, it's going to probably be a very disappointing year in many respects.
Well, I mean, we're talking to Steve Robertson. He does a great job for GenesPage.com, 25 to 24/7 Sports. Also, the Boneyard podcast, and of course, as we said, his latest work, Dog Pile, must read if you're a Mississippi State baseball fan. Look back at that historic run for Chris Lemonis in the baseball program, winning the first ever national championship for Mississippi State baseball. Steve, as far as offensively, is the biggest question kind of replacing Charles Cross, who's one of the best offensive tackles in Mississippi State history and a guy that's getting rave reviews so far in the NFL preseason?
Yeah, it's funny. All these critics of the air raid offense, those linemen can't play in the league, and then you go look at what Seattle's doing, and both of their tackles are Mason Miller disciples that played in the air raid. And so it's interesting. Everybody has these perceptions, but listen, Mississippi State is not going to be better at left tackle. They're not even going to be as good as they were at left tackle. But you go out and you get Percy Lewis, the number 1 junior college offensive tackle in the country, and he's running second team right now because Quatravius Johnson, a guy that we all call Dollar Bill, is really kind of taking charge of that job. And again, there will be a bit of a step back there, but I don't think it's going to be a very dramatic step back. I mean, you don't lose a first rounder and get better at a position. This isn't Alabama, right? I mean, so the reality of it is I think as camp has gone on, Quatravius Johnson's got more comfortable, and he graded out really well over the weekend after the first scrimmage, and it wasn't a great day for the offense. And but most of the pressure came on the right side, where they've recently made a bit of a flip, but moved Albert Reese from right tackle to guard and Cameron Jones out to right tackle. And so it's going to take a few practices for those guys to kind of get settled over there. But Dollar Bill Johnson's holding his own. And if you had told me a year ago that this guy's going to be your starting left tackle, I don't know that I'd have believed it. Not that he didn't have the talent. It's just he's always kind of been a little bit immature, I guess you'd say. It's like it just kind of takes him a while to kind of get going. And he's grown up a little bit. He committed himself to physical fitness in the off season. He's dropped some weight. He went and worked with an offensive line trainer and kind of got his footwork down. So he's committed himself to getting better. And so at this point, I would say not only is he the projected starter, I don't really think it's that close right now.
One of the areas, though, that Mississippi State did struggle in last year was that secondary, that back end of it at times last year. But you mentioned earlier that Mike Leach has gone out and done a good job in the transfer portal. They really did go out and kind of shore up that area after last season.
Yeah, they did, and I tell you, you got Emmanuel Forbes coming back, who is one of the best cover corners in the country, and certainly in the SEC. And Martin Emerson, of course, is drafted and goes to the Cleveland Browns. But to be honest with you, I think the young man that's going to replace him might actually have a higher ceiling professionally, and that's Decamerion Richardson. And got kind of thrown into the mix last year after Martin was ejected for targeting against Kentucky, and then completely shut down Wan'Dale Robinson when it came to his side. I mean, just an absolute coming out party for him. And you go out and you sign, Marcus Banks from Alabama, and everybody thought, okay, well, he'll come in and win that spot. DeCamerion is hanging on. And the Banks is out there playing exceptionally well, too. And I think that's really encouraging for Darcel McBath because last year you had to basically stick with 3 corners. I think this year you could probably go as much as 5 deep if you had to, but Jackie Matthews is a safety that has come in, and he's a converted corner. He played corner last year at West Virginia, playing safety at Mississippi State this year. And so it's really about getting your 5 best DBs on the field, and I think the transfer portal enables State to do that. And they go out and get Jordan Morant, too, from the University of Michigan. He's probably a solid 2-deeper, but you've had an influx of talent, and you've got some pretty good pieces returning at corner. The safeties was really the issue last year, and not really consistently consistent, but they had an opportunity to make some plays and get off the field and gave up some big plays down the field. And I go back, I think about 2 years ago with all the COVID restrictions and the contact tracing and all the things that we had to endure then, if State had one SEC safety down the stretch, they beat Georgia and they beat Ole Miss. But instead, you end up losing to both by one score because you just simply couldn't play the football down the field. And so they've addressed that. I think Jackie Matthews is a star in waiting for Mississippi State. I think a lot of people by middle of the year are going to be wondering how in the world they get this kid. That guy's absolutely outstanding, and he's been consistent in camp throughout.
And, Steve, as we're wrapping it up with you, you told us you believe that this could be a really solid bowl year for State. What is the ceiling? Is it 9 wins in your mind in the regular season?
Yeah, I think that's probably the ceiling. I mean, of course, you never know how the schedule's going to lay out. I mean, we look at it today and you say, this is how it should play, but you never know what injuries are going to look like for either team. Yeah, so people always say, well, if I had to pick the Egg Bowl today, well, we're not playing the Egg Bowl today, and so you never know what situation those two teams are going to be in by the time you get there. But I think based on what we know today, provided everybody stays healthy, I think 9-3 is the ceiling. I think 7-5 is the floor, but I think the over and under is 8-4. And I think that's what most people would feel pretty good about. And considering that you trade Vanderbilt for Georgia, one of the most difficult schedules in the country. But the reality is that's always the case when you play in the SEC West. There's never a year when you play in the West and you say, hey, it's a favorable schedule in conference. So you got to make the schedule smart on your non-conference, and I think they have. And so State's just got to go take care of business in the non-conference and find a way to finish 500 in this league, and I think that's very, very manageable.
Well, we always do a great job, Steve. Great intel from fall camp for year 3. Mike Leach heading into that for Mississippi State football. Let everybody know how they can connect with you. Of course, your daily podcast, and of course, I know your outstanding works, and I know Dogpile's been another amazing success for you, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R. And, of course, you can find all of our work at genespage.com, the Mississippi State affiliate for 247 Sports.
Thank you, sir.
See you guys.
Thanks. All right, let's get that break in because when we come back, we got to bring in another guest here on the 97.7 ESPN The Zone Talking Ball Wednesday edition show.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a couple of wrecks on Sparkman. Got one at Ben Graves in Sparkman. That one's coming in as a single vehicle, no report of injury. And we got one Sparkman in University. That reports with a dump truck and a vehicle involved. Also waiting on an injury report there. The wreck that was reported at Governors and Bassett is actually at Governors and Cass Circle. That one has some eastbound blockage. Snelling needs an experienced machine operator. Direct hire, excellent benefits. Snelling, how Huntsville's best companies hire talent. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of the Stanton Law Firm. Stan, I guess you are the Stanton in the law firm.
Yes, Wes, that's me, and we started the Stanton Law Firm so that myself and 4 other attorneys with me can help clients litigate, negotiate, and creatively solve legal and real estate problems.
Now, Stan, you grew up on a family farm in this area and have made a name closing on houses and land with your closing company, Jacob Title.
I grew up on a farm which used to be in the country. That, plus having closed on so many homes and farms, one of my colleagues started referring to me as a classic dirt lawyer. Now, I didn't know how to take that at first, that tag, but I realized that's exactly what I do and what I am.
Dan, I know the attorneys at Stanton Law Firm are regular listeners, and we plan to have you on periodically. You and I have seen have impacted this community.
Stay tuned, and you may hear about friends like Steve Booker, Clarence Johnson, Thomas Boyd, and even a few of those offensive line hogs like Hoss Johnson, and maybe you remember some other of those guys too.
I remember Clarence Johnson. He beat us one year. He was unbelievable.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
In 1982, Bob Baumhauer introduced Alabama to the Buffalo Wild Wing, and quite frankly, we've never been the same. Back then, it was Wings and Things in Tuscaloosa, but now, 40 years later, after 4 name changes, Baumhauer's Victory Grill is the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. Bob's Alabama Hot Chicken is something that has to be tried to believe, plus the new Bam Bam Chicken and the Louisiana-style Go Fish, a whitefish over rice topped with shrimp etouffee. And Baumhauer's is fighting inflation with some new affordable favorites. Visit Baumhauer's on the South Parkway today.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Hi, welcome back. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Talking Ball. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. 8:28 on a Wednesday morning. Great conversation there with Steve Robertson leading into that break, talking Mississippi State football. And earlier, was it? I keep saying earlier in the week, thinking like we are at Friday.
Yeah,
and we're only Wednesday.
It was yesterday.
But yesterday we were talking about Miles Brennan and his walk away from the game of college football. I mean, so many ups and downs for him. I mean, his college football career was like that big roller coaster ride. It would go up, it would go down. I mean, hurt, he's not hurt, he's playing, he's starting. I mean, just going through ups and downs, the coaches, I mean, everything. But Brian Kelly, they play on.
Well, they do, and our next guest, he gave us the intel, several days ago when he was on with us, and he felt like Jaden Daniels was going to be the starter. Now, there's nothing official there, heavy, speculation, and if you follow the tea leaves and read them, I think he's going to be the starting quarterback. But again, our next guest, there's no one more well-connected when it comes to LSU. He's the host of the daily program After Further Review on ESPN Baton Rouge, 104.5. We always enjoy featuring him, and he told us, again, that I was wrong. I was in Atlanta thinking that Miles Brennan had a legit shot at this. He said, Jaden Daniels was brought in for a reason by Brian Kelly, and, of course, we're going to talk about that and LSU fall camp right now with our next guest, and that is Matt Moscona, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Matt, welcome back to Huntsville. You're Drew and Scott. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good morning. Always appreciate the invite.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for coming in. You told us straight up. Now, I was even shocked, and you reported this, that Miles was third when he walked away. I thought he had a legitimate chance to win this. He had a star-crossed career, one that I thought was very unfortunate because a couple years ago I thought he was coming into his own, had the abdominal injury. Then he has the broken arm last year. but he obviously wasn't pushing to be the starting quarterback at LSU. And as you said on your must-follow Instagram, this is a guy that kind of beat to his own drum, and football probably wasn't his first love, and he decides to walk away from LSU.
Yeah, he was definitely the sentimental favorite for a lot of fans because of all that he had persevered through.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, you mentioned the injuries he had gone through, and even look, I think I told you this the last time I was on with you. Miles, when he committed to Les Miles and Cam Cameron.
That's right.
And that's how long he's been part of our lives. So he was definitely a sentimental favorite. He really took one for the team in 2018 and 2019 when he agreed to take a red shirt so LSU could kind of reset their quarterback depth because Ed Ogeron had kind of mismanaged the 2018 class. Look, people were pulling for Miles, but ultimately, Miles is a guy that has a lot of different passions. He loves the outdoors. I think the way that I phrased it was, when Joe Burrow was watching film, Miles Brennan was in the deer stand. And that's okay. To have a variety of things in life that you enjoy. He recently got engaged. It's just a time for him where it doesn't make sense to sit there and hold a clipboard as the number 3 quarterback when you can get on with your life, and that's what he's going to do.
So obviously the quarterback room now, is it Jaden Daniels all the way?
Scott, I'm not ready to say that. That's been my feeling, but I've said this so many times. I'm not necessarily bullish on it. I'm just looking at a lot of circumstantial evidence. Daniels has started 30 games. Nussmeier has never started a game. They went and pursued Jaden Daniels to bring him to LSU. They obviously did that for a reason. And he certainly has a skill set that they want. And considering some of the issues that this team has right now on the offensive line, having a mobile quarterback might mitigate some of that. So I do believe Jaden Daniels will start the opener. I do believe over the first 3 weeks we're going to see both Daniels and Nussmeier. But guys, whichever way they go, if it's Daniels or Nussmeier, they've got to figure that out by week 3. Because after that, you are into the grind of the SEC. And the October schedule for LSU is unforgiving. They're at Auburn, home against Tennessee, at Florida, home against Ole Miss, and then they have an open date, and then Bama to start November. So they got about 3 weeks in the season really to figure this thing out. And they don't have much time to waste because, as everybody knows, in the SEC, the gauntlet's coming at some point.
Now, Garrett Nussmeier, has he really had one of those things? I know he's been with the program now a couple years. He redshirted. Is he ready to take that next? Has he had the kind of camp where what you're hearing that he's starting to really have a shot to be the starting quarterback now at LSU? I know he needed to make some strides when he got there.
Yeah, Drew, and by his own admission, people use that gunslinger label. And, last year when we got to see Garrett, either in spring or when he did play, he just took too many chances. And whenever you have a young guy that's turnover prone, that'll give any coaches a nervous tick, right? So I think for him, first of all, he physically looks like a guy that has been in a strength and conditioning program for a year.
Yeah.
He's gotten bigger. He physically looks like a guy that could start in the SEC right now. He's got all he's got the release and the arm strength. And you all know this. He's the son of a coach and a former NFL quarterback, and he's got the intangibles. And honestly, guys, he's got a little bit of that kind of swag. I don't know I love that in a quarterback, and he's got that. He just doesn't have experience, guys. That's the one thing that's missing. And eventually, everybody's got to get their first start at some point. But I think for Brian Kelly, understanding in a transition year like this, he's more likely going to go with a more known commodity and a guy like Jaden Daniels who's been through those wars. But if they had to run Garrett Nussmeier out there, I think he could be more than competent this year as a redshirt freshman.
How's the rest of camp going for Brian Kelly in his first run?
It's interesting, Scott. It is. You talk to people who've covered this program for a long time. This is, first of all, the most access we've gotten since Jerry DiNardo. I mean, you're literally talking a quarter century. There's a practice later this morning. We get to watch the entire thing.
The entire thing?
Wow. I mean, they don't even let anyone into Alabama's practice.
No, but Auburn, Alabama, I don't know any school. That
they usually get about 20 minutes, the whole practice. Wow. What access.
So last Thursday, we got to watch the entire practice as well. And Brian Kelly, I think, has done a great job of trying to meet everyone halfway. That's not something he did at South Bend, by the way, from what I understand from people who covered him there. So we have gotten a lot of access, which has been, I mean, imagine this, guys. It's easier to cover the team that you cover when you actually get access to the team.
Yeah.
So it's been cool. We got to talk to coordinators. We got to talk to 2 quarterbacks yesterday. The rest of camp has been very meticulous, structured, intentional. It's the things that you've heard about Brian Kelly. And guys, maybe for us here, the reason it has stood out so much is because it is in such sharp contrast to what LSU had prior with Ed Ogeron. There is no wasted time or movements at these practices, and that even extends in the building. Whenever there's this story going around when Brian Kelly was hired, he met with everyone from the top down to everyone who answered the phone or the custodial staff because he wanted everything done a certain way. And it has not been like that here since Nick Saban was the coach here. So, I mean, it's everything that you understand about Brian Kelly, why he's succeeded everywhere he's been. He is a very organized guy. There is no doubt who is in charge. He controls every aspect of everything, and not in a negative way, just because he has a system and a way he wants things done. So, Scott, you're probably asking more about the on-field stuff, and we can talk about.
No, I mean that's great though. That's good insight.
Intel, yeah.
It's way more. LSU needed a culture change in the worst way. I mean, it was so toxic under Ed, especially in the last 2 years, and Brian Kelly recognized that, and in pretty short order, he's turned that around.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that too, a lot of momentum in the last week or two in recruiting as well, including some good news yesterday also.
Yeah, it was interesting. Just really starting around the 4th of July, they started to pop off, and one of the big questions, that I think a lot of people had about Brian Kelly was, if I guess there was a reputation that he, maybe wasn't a great recruiter, and that may still be the case. But what he's done is, I think, guys, we talked about this when he hired his staff. I think you had me on. We talked about it. I think he did a very self-aware thing in how he built his staff. Mm-hmm. It's basically half guys that know him and his systems and his processes really well, and the other half guys who know Louisiana and the culture and the landscape and the high schools and are rooted here. That opened a lot of those doors, and it's paid dividends. I mean, guys, I don't know if you agree with this, but I've always said LSU is one of 3 schools. There's only 3 schools in the country that meet this criteria, where you're the only Power 5 in a talent-rich state, and it's LSU, Ohio State, and Georgia. With respect to Georgia Tech, they're just not playing the same game. But Alabama's got Auburn. You can look at Pennsylvania, great high school state. Well, it's Penn State, and you've got Pitt, and you've got Florida, where you got 3 Power 5s. Florida. If you can put a fence around Louisiana, Nick Saban proved this 25 years ago. If you can put a fence around Louisiana, you can win at an elite level. And that was the question for Brian Kelly. And in the last, 6-8 weeks, he has shown he's very capable of doing that.
He certainly has, no question. And I know when we last had you on, the big question, we know Will Campbell has an elite talent, we believe, going to be the left tackle, but the offensive line was a huge question mark. I know you've had a chance to watch practice. Are there strides being made, or are jobs being won right now?
So I do think jobs are being won. I think they have their starting 5, but it is fair to say that is the most gigantic question mark on this team. Guys, the way I've said it is I think all 5 starters are Sunday guys. Those are guys that you look 10 years from now, they will all have gotten their chance to play in the NFL. But you got a true freshman starting at left tackle. You've got a center that has literally never played the position. You've got your two starting guards are both transfers. One of them was a tackle a year ago. You got Anthony Bradford playing right tackle, who's primarily played guard. So you've got 5 guys in different positions who've never played together. And when you need 5 to act as one, that's generally not a good thing. So, man, that unit coming together is going to be so paramount to whatever success that this team has this season. I think they got some real talent there. How well they play together is just a massive question. I don't think you can overstate how important that is.
Yeah, I would agree. And then defensively, they're going to be led by the front 4. I mean, I think Jaquelin Roy, you look at Mason Smith, 2 supreme talents, Ojulari, and then Ali Gay. But the rest of this defense, I know they've lost some talent in the secondary. How good do you think the defense can be? How are they coming along with what you've seen in fall camp?
Yeah, Drew, so if I was to answer Scott's question earlier in a more literal sense, this would be my biggest takeaway on the field. I think I've come away more bullish on LSU's defense. I think this defense is going to be really good. They just had so many transfers that you just didn't know how it was going to shake out, especially in the secondary. But, man, they look good. They're Drew, you're right. The defensive line is the strength of the defense. Mason Smith, if you're looking for like a breakout player in the league this year defensively, he's as good as any to pick. You know, he was a 5-star, number 1 defensive tackle, all that sort of stuff. He wears number 0. People are going to get acquainted with him this year. But, yeah, the defensive line looks awesome. Micah Baskerville, who's their leading returning tackler at linebacker, he's running 3rd right now at linebacker. So they feel like they've built some depth there. And then the 4 cornerbacks they're going to play, I don't know that any of them are as good as Elias Ricks. I don't think any of those guys are going to end up being a top 10 pick in the draft. But they've got the 4 cornerbacks they're going to play. They've got 3 fifth-year guys and a 6th-year guy that have all played a ton of football and look very comfortable on the field right now. So that would be my big takeaway. I think LSU's defense is going to be good enough to keep them in games if the offense can come along. And that's obviously, look, you have a giant question at offensive line and quarterback, and you can't minimize the importance of those 2 position groups, obviously.
That schedule, you mentioned it, you kind of alluded to it. There's a stretch there where we're really going to find out about this LSU team. And we're going to find out because, Brian Kelly gets a lot of credit at Notre Dame for, because of the enrollment guidelines and getting guys in there to play and the schedule. We're going to find out what kind of coach, on the field coach Brian Kelly can be with that middle stretch of that schedule.
Guys, I think when you've been a head coach for 32 years and you've won everywhere you've been, I think Brian Kelly as a coach is established, and he instantly makes LSU better.
Agreed.
He's just got enough competency and skins on the wall. By the way, Drew's about to get out of the car right now. So
what's up, Drew?
Hang on 1 second. Sorry, guys.
It's all great.
Good morning. Okay, bud. Sorry, guys.
As long as we've got good lunch packed, we're fine with all that. Yeah, as long as the lunch is good.
Bye, bud. All right, sorry, guys. That made your whole audience have school drop on time. But, Drew, this is what you get for continuing to ask me to come on at 8:25.
Hey, man. Hey, we know you're busy in the morning, too.
Yeah.
Morning scone.
So you're asking about the schedule. So, guys, if you look at LSU's schedule, it really comes down to this. They got to start 4-0. They got to beat Florida State. They'll beat Southern and New Mexico State, and then they've got to beat they've got to beat Mississippi State at home. If they do that and start 4-0, you look at the next 4 games and that in October, and that's kind of what makes that really depends on or determines what you're playing for in November. And I think they need to split those games in October. They got road games at Florida and at Auburn, home games against Tennessee and Ole Miss. If you go 2-2 in that stretch, you're 6-2 going into November. You're going to lose to Bama. You're going to beat UAB. And then really it comes down to at Arkansas, at A&M. You split those, you go 8-4, and I think that's a really good year one for Brian Kelly if they can manage it.
Well, I think so, too. And I will say this, just as we're wrapping it up with you, and we always love hearing from Drew, man. What great, awesome. But, hey, I just say this. I really enjoyed the insight you got from Tommy Moffitt. I thought that was pretty, fascinating. He was such a big part of LSU football and the fabric as a strength and conditioning coach for so long. Those were some really neat segments and the kind of the insight into Joe Burrow and that, that great year in 2019 and just his time at LSU.
Yeah, man, Tommy's great. And, when we were at, I don't know if y'all noticed, but when we were at SEC Media Days, we were on the Radio Row was on the second floor.
That's right.
And if you went around the back where they had like this, it's great for anybody that goes to College Football Hall of Fame, by the way, they had this sort of like pillar display committed to the advances in strength and conditioning in college football. And there was this whole feature on Tommy Moffitt. It was, I've known Coach for a long time, and I've obviously known his reputation and everything, but still to see him featured like that at the College Football Hall of Fame kind of reinforced that. But, he was just a phenomenal part of the greatest era of LSU football, and all good things come to an end. So they've got a new strength staff in there that Brian Kelly brought in, and I know that was not how Tommy Moffitt wanted his time to end at LSU, but he'll do great things. And man, when you hang around a place like LSU during the era he was there, over 3 head coaches, man, he's got stories to tell. So yeah, it was great to visit with him.
No doubt. Well, have a great show after further review from 3 to 6. We always appreciate the time. Drew, have a great day at school, but we appreciate it, man.
All right, guys, y'all be well.
Thanks. Matt Moscona with us, helping us get to our final break of the morning. Got to wrap it up, the whole 2-hour extravaganza with your tomorrow's headlines. Next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's got a wreck at Old 431 and Wade Road. That one's coming in as an injury type. Ben Graves and Sparkman reported injuries. 431 south of Sutton reported possible injury. University and Sparkman had an injury, and we got one on Governor's eastbound at Cass Circle. It may still be slowing things down. The Cajun Rice is back at Popeyes and their 11-piece chicken family meal, 2 sides, 5 biscuits, now only $22.99. Popeyes University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
The Braves are out to defend their world title, and it all starts now as the push to the playoffs heats up in Atlanta.
Next pitch to Riley. Swung on, hammered to deep center. Home run!
Tonight, division rivals clash at Truist Park in Atlanta as the battle for the National League East heats up between the Braves and the New York Mets. Braves radio's on the air at 6:05 Eastern, 5:05 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhsriserealestate.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing: helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Touchdown, Alabama! No look pass inside, but he got to go to the play.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There we go. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Might help if you push the right button every now and then. It is time for your tomorrow's headlines today, 8:53 on a Wednesday morning. And yesterday, keep in mind, we are, what are we, couple weeks, 2 weeks away from the start of the college football season. Last night, the Tuscaloosa City Council voted 4-1 to allow beer and wine sales at Alabama football games this fall. Sales of spirits are not allowed, but you can buy wine and beer.
So in other words, the minis are going to be snuck in still.
The Southeastern Conference does have a cutoff time that no alcohol can be sold after the third quarter. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to just go. I'm going to channel my inner Drew DeArmond.
Lane's got to go to the keg party.
I'm going to channel my inner Drew DeArmond on this one.
Yeah.
Dirtneck won't be able to get any kind of beer after the fourth quarter when his team is getting beat 63-0 when they come to Tuscaloosa.
Just going to need something harder than that on the plane, I can tell you that. Freaking clown's fixing to get his ass whooped.
Oh. All right, 256-576-4977. You got a couple minutes to get in on this show. this morning as we do get ready to wrap up hour number one. We did talk about the Braves in hour one. Yeah, but Mike Soroka, though, last night pitched in Rome.
Yeah, that's
had
right.
8 strikeouts last night.
Looked good.
With the Rome Braves. So that's one when we were talking about the Braves and updating everything. We didn't get a chance to mention that Mike Soroka had his rehab start in Rome last night and fared very well.
He did. It's his first rehab start. Really, he was lights out, and we'll see if he gets back up with Atlanta by September. I mean, certainly he's on the path to get back. People had hoped to see him by August the 1st. That didn't happen. But again, he's missed nearly 2 years of the Achilles situation. So you just hope and pray he can maybe give him a shot in the arm down the stretch. And as you said, 3.5 games back of the Mutts with a chance to take a couple more games from him.
And with the Auburn kicking situation kind of cleared up just a little bit yesterday with Anders Carlson coming back.
Yep,
they get McPherson out of Fort Payne. That didn't leave a lot of room for Ben Patton, the walk-on kicker who was 5 of 6 last year after Anders Carlson's injury, including that 49-yarder in overtime against Alabama. Mm-hmm. He's entered the transfer portal. So that
should be a wanted guy. Somebody need a kicker.
Well, Ole Miss needed a punter. They just went to the frat house and got theirs.
Well, I don't think Ben Patton was at the kegger, so I guess we'll see. Thank you. We enjoyed hearing from Randy. Appreciate Steve Robertson and Matt Moscona.
All right, guys, we're going to be back at it on a Thursday morning, tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. Talking
High school football.
It does. High school football begins in earnest for real. We're calling it week 1. State calls it week 0. We'll call it week 1. Tomorrow night, high school football gets underway. We'll preview it on Talking Ball tomorrow morning. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Download the app today.
Come see your first place Rocket City Trash Pandas take on the Chattanooga Lookouts tonight for Dog Day. Not only is it Dog Day, but the first 2,000 adults through the gates will receive a free Trash Pandas military bobblehead. Get your tickets now at TrashPandasBaseball.com. Trash Pandas Baseball. Have a blast. Let's rock it.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself.
FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook.